Amazing. Hello, Holly, Dawn, Christian,
Good morning.
Eric.
Morning.
Good morning. Do we have Dawn up here? Oh, yeah, we do. All right, well, let's get this kicked off. Good morning, everyone. My name is Heidi Rose. I am an ICON agent. I have been 3 times and run a small family team in the state of Oklahoma. I am also the managing broker for the state of Oklahoma, so I get to see behind the curtain as well. And without further ado, I would love to introduce our amazing panel. I have some questions that I have already prepared for today, but I always love engagement, as I would ask of my agents. One of the best things that you can do for yourself is to always speak up, be engaged, ask questions, be fully engaged, put your phone down, shut your emails off, and sit back and use this time to grow for yourself. And we'll ask all of our questions here, and at the end we'll have a Q&A. I will also try to watch the chat too, so if you have a question and want to elaborate, if it's something that we can maybe table and finish up with the Q&A, I'll ask them that as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go from the pictures on the screen in order of how I'm going to ask these people to introduce themselves, to tell them a little bit about their team, where they're located, so that you can maybe identify with who they are to see if you will relate to them. So without further ado, Christian, please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, how are you? This is Christian Higdon. I work in the San Francisco Bay Area and happy to be here.
Awesome, Christian. What does your team look like?
Our team is my wife and I, as well as 3 other agents. We don't have clear distinctions between listing and buyer's agents. We're pretty much just friends of friends. So I'm not an aggressive recruiter. I've tried to do that in the past and just found that to be difficult. So I've just gone through kind of a tight circle of referrals, making sure that you have people that share your values, I think is really important. So that's kept our team smaller, but very productive.
Excellent. Holly Couture, Colorado. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you, Heidi. Good morning. Well, everybody, if you're here, that's awesome. I'm going to be learning as much as all of you are, so I'm excited. My name is Holly Couture. I am out of Denver, Colorado. I've been in business for a little over 12 years. And prior to this, I was an elementary school teacher, bartender, and I have now taken all of those gifts and put it into this career because, as we know, we are always learning. We're teachers. And we're serving. So I've run my team. It's myself. I've built my team a little bit different. I am now just starting to hire out a sales side. I'm a mom of 2 kiddos. I'm married. I've been with my husband for over 20 years. Our production was over 30 million in volume last year. Best year ever that we've had with just myself solo and 1 admin. We kicked the doors out when we weren't sure what was going to happen while homeschooling. So I'm excited. We're already on pace to double what we did last year. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here with all of these rock stars on stage. I can't wait to hear about everybody.
Awesome. Incredible. Dawn, tell us about Dawn Mowry.
So my name's Don Mowry. I'm in the Rancho Cucamonga area, the Inland Empire of Southern California. Been in real estate 32 years. I'm the old man on the stage, I guess. I am both a certified appraiser, been a Tom Ferry Team Plus coach, had a team as large as 20, did 250 transactions in a year. Found out that I wasn't really happy running that large of a team. It sucked the entire life out of me. Scaled it back. We're now a team of 6. We'll do about 100 million in sales. And also I run about another 220 appraisals a year. But I like, what was her name was speaking before, the teacher who's the bartender before?
Holly.
Holly, I just want Holly to give me a homework assignment to go to the bar and get a drink. Other than that, I'm good.
I love it. And without further ado, Eric Kelly, Arizona. Open your mic. Let's hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I've resided in the Valley of the Sun for 25 years now, 19 years in real estate. I run a 5-person team. We operate our business primarily through referrals and relationships and just being engaged with our community and providing a distinctive level of service. And I'm honored to be here. Prior to this, I owned a Keller Williams office, so super pumped about EXP and the collaboration here and just the culture. It's really, really fun to be part of so much growth and so many amazing people to learn from and share. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, being the only one from more of a not as crazy as a market, is it safe for me to assume that all of you are experiencing, and because we are, which is very unreal for us, but a full-on seller's market, buyers, crazy requests or offers and things like that. Is that true for all of you?
Hands down.
Yes. We're same thing, experiencing, high demand for housing, very short supply, and escalating prices, and it's just challenging for the buyers agents. Our agents in general, we're having our agents try to focus on more listing generation just because they're getting frustrated.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm probably the one in the room. I've been doing real estate for 21 years. I've sold in New Hampshire, Indiana, Kentucky, and in Oklahoma. And in all of those years in those different markets, in the 21 years, have never experienced the seller's market that you all had. So this is a first for somewhat of Oklahoma. So in the other rooms, I'm probably the one that you could relate to if you've never had it, or the other people here probably have done it before. So I am going to ask some of the questions pertaining to the current market that we are experiencing. What right now are you feeling? And if we could go in the order again of the screen of how we were introduced, what right now are you feeling is the most cost productive for you to focus on right now? Christian?
Most cost productive for us, and I think probably everyone on the stage would say after a number of years, is going to be your referrals in your sphere. And I think sometimes, like in the past, I've done significant amount of like online leads just for, like all kinds, but like Zillow and that kind of stuff. And I would just say that that you don't want to neglect your sphere. And it's kind of like you hear that a lot, but I think there's a lot of different ways to work it, and you're in COVID, so you can't have parties and stuff, but definitely want to touch all your clients and make sure that you're servicing their friends or friends of friends or colleagues or things like that.
Absolutely. Holly, what right now are you finding the most cost productive for you and your focus?
I agree with the sphere. The number one thing I think that is we all need to get out of our way and stop telling the story of crisis. I think that being the expert, Grant Cardone said something yesterday I thought was great, was if you want to become the celebrity, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a TikToker. Maybe you want to be, but you need to be the expert. Like during COVID, the thing that pushed us through, I was a nerd by default. I mean, I was reading everything I could to make sure that everybody was protected, that everybody knew the rules, that you can be transparent and be vulnerable and say, I don't know what's going to happen. We've never seen this before, but this is what I suggest. We got to keep moving the needle forwards. And I think mindset on people right now, it's the same story no matter what market we're in, right? Like the crisis of, oh, there's no inventory. That might be the overall national truth. However, people need to move. People are moving. There's situations. You guys have to tap into finding solutions for people, not spreading more fear? What's the solution? How are you different? And use your sphere, tap in. This scared me yesterday. A statistic is showing right now that if you are not calling your database, and I don't care if you have 10 people or 5,000, if you are not using the phone and calling your people that know you, like you, and love you, screw the online stuff. I'm sorry, that's probably not appropriate to say. But I feel that if you're not calling them right now, you've got Zillow, you have HomeLight, you have Redfin, you have people down in your pants, so to speak, calling your leads because you're not servicing them, and you know them. They like you, they trust you. Use that relationship. Be the celebrity, be the expert. Show them a way out. Connect them with business. What do they need? Do they need help with work? Do they need you to float a resume to somebody? Right now is the time to be the connector and just pick up the phone and say, I'm sorry I haven't called you. How are you? I've been in the clouds myself. Be honest.
Absolutely. Dawn.
So yeah, I would say similar to what Holly's saying, it's about your database. You say, well, your SOI, but you should have a daily routine, but your life should be within your database, and you have a free KV Core or a KV Core database to use. And so when I talk to agents or when I teach agents, it's like it's a number of conversations you're having on a daily basis. The ratio typically is 4-to-1. 40 real estate related conversations equals 1 transaction. So if you're not looking at how many conversations you're having on a daily basis, that's where you're coming up short. The other thing I would also say is that if you want reverse engineered, if you want to do 24 transactions to 30 transactions, that's a hit icon. You have to look at and say, okay, I have to have 40 conversations or 60 conversations per month. There's 20 days of whatever you're going to work in the month. Divide that in. That's the number of conversations you need to have on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And then, where are those conversations going to come from? What lead sources are you going to have? So, I look at what is your daily routine. And if you don't have an appointment, your goal every day is to set an appointment. Set an appointment, whether it's to go show a home, go a listing, or maybe it's just to go meet somebody about, in your SOI about going to have a cup of coffee. Set an appointment to sit down and have a real estate related question. And if you have more conversations about real estate, your business will increase. And so that's how I look at it.
Absolutely. Eric, what would you like to share? What is the most cost predicted for you right now in the market?
Well, lots of good feedback that I've heard already, and we're doing some things certainly that are parallel to that. I think it's our job to be the strategic advisor to our clients to help them interpret the market. And I agree with what Holly said initially, which is, let's not fan the flames of scarcity or crazy market, or I think we have to be really conscious about our language. That's something that I work on with my group consistently, where we're literally choosing word by word exactly what we're saying in response to the question. So for example, like when we hear how's the market or how's it going or wow, it must be crazy out there, our response is, well, we're in a very dynamic market right now. Is there a specific area of interest to you? Because that quickly qualifies, are they just being courteous and concerned about us on a personal level or curious, or do they have a specific real estate need? We also are continually assembling what I would call a dynamic document within our team, and that's through our sphere conversations, through our active prospect conversations, and all our conversations with other real estate agents, where we're talking about what do they have to sell and what are their clients looking to buy. And then we're documenting that. And if it's with our sphere, we're getting a lot more specifics where we have an address, an exact description of the house. And so our goal with that is just to be a facilitator, the solution provider, which I think Don said, like, be the solution and connect the dots for people so that they're not competing with 17 other offers. And, believe it or not, there's some sellers that don't want to deal with that. They don't want 100 people through their house, especially still with COVID concerns and things like that. They want to know that a buyer has been fully vetted and they're not going to have a bidding war and then have a buyer bail out in the 11th hour on a financing contingency or something like that. So I think that's the key, is just staying in regular, consistent communication with our our database. We do a thing called the 5 and 5, which is 5 sphere of influence conversations a day and 5 active prospect conversations a day. The prospect conversations lead with real estate because that's the space that we're in with those people. The sphere conversations are only to nurture the relationship. I never bring up real estate. Now, a lot of times they will, but I never bring it up. So that's what we're doing.
Awesome. And what I have our team focus on is I tell them, here's some things that I have heard you say that I also tell people. I would say stop saying on Facebook that you sold something in an hour or all of that. Basically what I found is that basically just tells the person that was possibly considering their home, maybe I should just try that on my home. If they're selling in an hour, I mean, I could wait 2 hours then. So I'm stating not to be saying that to everybody that you're selling things so quickly, multiple offers. You can say multiple offers, but then that's where your experience kicks in. How does somebody go through 25 offers on a property? Which one do they choose? So I say to be careful on what you're portraying out there to people. I'm also using Facebook. I love to use things that are free. So what we put on is if we have a specific buyer need, we'll put it on our Facebook and hit it to our spheres and on our Rose Team page and tell them what we're looking for. I've been using the magic letter in my farms. I work 2 farming areas really strong. So I do have a lot of people that come to me in those areas, and we will send out a letter saying, I'm looking for specifics of a property. And right now we've picked up in a market that has low listings. I've picked up 4 listings because of still doing that letter. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And so that magic letter that you can find on Breakthrough Broker, I mean, we're just very specific about it, and we're using that, and we're using our sphere to just tell them what we're needing, what we're looking for. And we took a $700,000 listing because I said I had a buyer need. The only thing I would caution you is don't be stating things that you don't truly have. If you don't have a buyer need, don't say that you do, because when they call us, we can speak to them specifically, and they really appreciate that we're being truthful and honest with them of what our client is needing. So my next question for you is,
Hey,
right
Heidi,
now, because, go ahead.
can I just add something to that?
Absolutely.
I think what you said about stating a buyer need is, I think that's really terrific. And I think especially if we frame a little bit of the story, which I also think is how we should communicate our successes. Like our Phoenix market is very competitive right now. And, I joke with my team, I'm like, a monkey could sell a house in this market. Like nobody cares that you had 17 offers and sold for $30,000 over list price. What they care about is, what was the story of the seller? What were they looking to accomplish? Where were they going? What did you talk about with them? What was your strategy? What was the solution that you came up with? How did we manage the process so it was smooth and easy and stress-free, and talk about those types of things? That's what I've seen resonate with our audience and community much more so than most of the posts that we see from real estate agents. And I think that in to your point about posting needs, people genuinely typically want to help. So if you're putting it out there, the perception by the public, I believe, is you're going above and beyond for your clients, and you'll do whatever it takes to meet their needs.
I wanted to piggyback on that, Eric. I agree. And it's a little bit different than what you were saying, Heidi, but I also believe that I've tested this out recently and it has come back tenfold. I don't know if anybody's ever read the book, The Go-Giver. It's one of my favorites. I give it to all of our staff and team members and business relationships. But the more you guys give, the more that will come in return. And I find that let them think they can go sell a house by themselves. I show them, here's the checklist, here are the steps. I feel like if they can see the value of what actually goes on behind the scenes, and just at that point, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, Holly. I don't know how you do this. I can't tell you how many times I hear that, where they're like, thank you for just telling me up front, because what you're doing, you're planting seeds. You're being the expert again in your industry. You're professional. You're saying this is what steps it takes to get your house ready. This is how you maneuver multiple offers. These are the liabilities. This could happen to you. I want you to be prepared. And I find that when you give more without an expectation, that's the key. Don't expect your giving to get. Give to give. And people will come to you as the expert without you even realizing it.
100% agree. Okay, so our next question, which I'm sure some of the people in the audience are wondering right now, as working your buyers, what is your secret right now to winning the offer for the seller to choose yours? What are you doing right now to make things look most attractive? And I get that there are different markets, and it's also, you know, what your area is, but we have a good snapshot. So Christian, what right now would you recommend someone to get their offers accepted?
Well, in our market, I'd say a couple things. Number one, I make it clear to my clients and our team that our number one goal is not to win every bidding war, but to represent our clients as best we can based on what I use the language. There's market value, and then there's quantifying client's emotional value. So if the client's emotional value for a big yard or an ocean view or whatever it is like pushing way up there, like this is what I really want, then we'll really push it in the bidding war. Otherwise, I mean, quite honestly, like we lose a lot of bidding wars because I'm trying to represent my clients the best way I can. But to win the bidding war here in the Bay Area, you right now in this, you know, hot market, you have to be non-contingent on your offers. So that's like there's a lot to unpack there, and you know, I don't want to go on and on, but like, you know, to get to a place of comfort with like not having an inspection contingency, you got to do a lot to get there and make sure that your clients feel comfortable with that kind of an offer.
Awesome. Holly?
Definitely agree with that. The two things, the most simple way to say it, education and communication. So what I mean by that, education is exactly what Christian is saying. You need to have more conversations up front before you get in the car. Get on a Zoom, talk to them, be honest with them about, you know, I always go through statistics. You got to know the disc profile is something great, so you can tell what type of a client you're working with. Prepare them, take away their objections before you get out in the car. Tell them it's okay, you may lose one, and then I'm not going to push you, but if it's a good deal, I'm going to tell you. So being the educator, right? Setting the framework so they're successful and they feel safe with what they're doing, because it's scary to them and there's a lot of resentment and bitterness. So you can take that out of the way by presenting the good statistics for them. That's the first thing. The communication, again, not just with the client, but I can tell you with getting offers accepted as a listing agent, I do my darndest to call and return every phone call. In this market, guys, when you start hammering the listing agent, that actually pisses people off, because it's like, I'm trying to get to you, but I'm also showing properties. Just be a little bit more conscious. We're doing things different now. So what I like to do is I'll make one phone call. The lender calls, that used to be a thing, but again, you're bombarded, right? So my suggestion would be, text messaging is usually great. I voice text. Voice texting is different. It stands apart. Not a lot of people do it. Or send a video of yourself on a text. Hey, I'm a real person. I'm Holly Kuchar. I want to let you know I've been doing this a long time. I'm sure you're slammed. Don't worry about calling me back. I wanted to show you I'm real. These are my buyers. I'm going to send you over a syllabus. Yes, I use the word syllabus. And I'm going to show you why my buyer's ready. Let me know if you have questions. Can I do anything to help you? I can send you a template if you need one to how to get the agents off your back. That's it, right? Then I send an email with an outline. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Here are the reasons. Here are the highlights as to why my buyer is ready. And I write a syllabus out and I point out all the bullets in the offer I'm writing. What sets us apart? Why are we different? Third thing is I put together a letter from the lender. All of it is together. A lot of people right now are just like throwing offers, sending this, sending that. You're disorganized. Guys, that looks unprofessional. It's annoying. I'm not going to chase you for your information. So have your stuff together. If you don't have a team, just be prepared. You can easily create a template, and then I just cut and paste this every single time.
Awesome advice, Holly. I love that. I love the video idea. I never thought about that. I've done the other parts, but I love that. Don, what would you add?
So, you know, I do a lot of listings, but I also help my agents. So one of the biggest things is, like, if you can text or call the agent. So when I get a lot of phone calls from agents, especially when I have the number of listings I have. It's a little frustrating, especially when they don't read the MLS instructions. But I think the biggest thing is if you can text and say, I'd just like to know, does your seller have any hot points? Price isn't always the best. Some of my clients need a lease back for 30 days, or maybe they're moving out of state. So, what are the seller's needs and hot points? Do they need a rent back? Are they moving out of state? What can we do to help those sellers out in their situation? Right now, a big deal is like school dates. they don't want to move their kids out to the school year. So, I mean, just those little extra things, knowing that, hey, they're really there to help my sellers make their transition and their move easier, helps get the offers accepted.
Excellent. And Eric?
We're doing some similar things to what's been mentioned already. I love the video text, something I do with clients and people in our sphere for their birthday as well. And, it takes less than a minute, honestly. I'll sit for a moment and think of something unique that I like about them or really appreciate about them or admire about them. And then I send a message and I talk about that specifically, that, hey, I'm grateful for this, or I love your influence around that, or you set such a good example for this, and then I wish them a happy birthday. So we'll do the same thing for introduction. We're trying to build rapport with the listing agent, and we've got to sell ourselves to the listing agent. We've got to sell our clients to the listing agent. So, I want to have multiple conversations around like before we show the property, immediately following the showing, before we submit an offer, immediately after the offer, if we're able to do that. And I'm not peppering them. I'm not one of those people that calls multiple times, because if I'm the listing agent and I get 6 calls in a row from the same number, I'm way less inclined to even want to work with that agent, honestly. But we do a love letter. We'll help our clients craft that, and that's really sharing their story. I take a picture of our clients in front of the front door of the house, so when the seller sees it, there's like a connection there because it's familiar. To Don's point about other priorities, we have a question that we always ask the listing agent, which is, other than price, is there any specific importance to your sellers?
Gotcha. Great.
And then from an offer structure thing, I think, knowing what's a priority to them in closing date, if they want to lease back, I encourage our clients to put a hefty earnest money deposit down, because like on our purchase contract in Arizona, you're getting price, closing date, earnest money, and financing details all on page 1. So why not put down $25,000 or $50,000 in earnest money? I think it makes them look like a stronger, more committed buyer.
Awesome. I will put my broker hat on there for a minute on the love letters. Make sure you're talking to your broker to make sure it's in the state of Oklahoma, those are not allowed. So just make sure that you check with your broker that those are allowed in your state. I'm going to jump down to
Heidi, they are not allowed in Colorado either. So if we have any Colorado people in the audience, do not do that. You can be reported against the Division of Real Estate.
Yeah, so just want to make sure that you check with your broker on that. So I'm going to jump to a different question first, guys, that kind of follows that. And maybe we have agents in here that they work on their own. Like, for example, my team is my husband, my daughter, and myself. So for us to service right now, and honestly, I'm not even in production anymore, for us to service the buyer's needs in this market, my experience is that we're just sucking it up. We got to go. If they got to find a house, we are working hard to get it done. Now, I know some of you have other people on your team that you can work with, but if you'll put your hat back on to maybe when you were a single agent, like maybe a lot of the listeners in the room right now, what would be your advice to them to have some balance in their life? Or are you going to be a little bit like me, or I'm just like, guys, you're going to have to suck it up. There's going to be a slow time that we can take off as much time as we want, but right now we got to work it. So what would be your advice, Christian?
First thing I always tell everyone is you got to just be yourself. Don't try to be what other people want to be around you. So you got to spend a little bit of time to say, do I want to, like at the end of the day, I think every top agent would tell you, if you want to be a top agent, to get there, you're going to have to put in more hours, go through more stress, deal with more issues. It could be like drinking from a fire hydrant. It could be scary in different ways and things like that. So first know yourself, and then if you really want to aspire to do that, then I recommend either like a mentor, a coach. You got to get some guidance, because you can just be burning the candle at both ends, and before you know it, you're burnt out. So I think most top agents, like I could speak for myself, it's like I reached a certain level of production and I wanted to slow down because it was too much. So you got to be careful with that. I'm sure others will share more.
Holly, advice?
That's some beautiful nuggets right there just dropped. I hope some people wrote some stuff down, because burnout is real, and burnout can mean different things. It can mean health, it can mean a lot of things. So my advice to new agents that are out there, first and foremost, figure out what you like to do, because comparison is the thief of all joy. If you guys are constantly comparing yourself to someone that's in the other thing, advice, sorry, I'm going to back up for 1 second because I think this is important. You don't know if you're comparing your beginning to someone's end or your middle to someone's beginning. So stop doing that. Okay, that's the first thing. I love what Christian said. You need to find yourself. You are an average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So who are you? Who do you want to be? Figure out who you are. And that's always changing, right? But I would say I'm a hustler, and I've always been in the love of the grind, the love of the game. And recently, I can say I've looked back, I have 2, I call them real estate babies. I mean, I feel like I have violated more parking lots in the state of Colorado with changing diapers and feeding babies in between showing houses than probably anyone cares to know. And when I look back on that, I say to myself, was it worth it? Some of it is yes, like Christian is saying, but some of it is no, and you can't get that time back. So I would suggest, if you're a new agent, you're going to have to hustle. You're not going to wake up and just show house 1, 2, 3, make $1 million. However, the fastest way to get there is to get a coach, get a mentor, somebody in your area that's local, someone that's not in your area local. You need both. You can't just have national and local, just like how you give advice to your clients. There's national news, there's local news on your market. The third thing would be write a list of your top things you like and get involved in that. If you love tennis, go to the tennis club and get leads there while you're being healthy. If you love, you're got kids in school, you're homeschooling, get involved with the board. I'm involved with the Women's Chamber. I love helping businesses grow. It's genuine, I'm authentic, and it doesn't feel like work. So it's kind of a convoluted answer, right? I mean, yeah, you got to grind. You have got to hustle. You've got to put yourself out there. But I think if you don't compare yourself to everybody else, be quiet with yourself, see what you love to do in life. And the end of this deal, make an impact. Get your first hire. Your first hire is going to be huge for you. And more importantly, it's better for the client. You're giving better service. And with all the buyers out there, because I think, Heidi, that's what you started with, get a showing assistant. There's tons of people in our industry. Well, they're brand new. Let them show a house for $25. Get them out there. Leverage yourself so you can be, not leverage so you can go hang out at the beach. Maybe you want to do that. Leverage yourself so you can be better at your craft.
Some advice. Dawn, what say you?
So I believe the question is more about your schedule and balance between work and real estate. I mean, your life and your family. That's correct, right?
Yeah, both ways. I mean, I think some people right now are struggling with how do I have a life and service real estate, and maybe they don't know how to do it. So how would you suggest?
So again, it starts with your business plan first. It starts with how many conversations you're going to have on a daily basis, what's going to be your lead sources, and then mastering your calendar. So when we look at your calendar, you say, okay, what am I going to start my day with? And then we would recommend affirmations and gratitudes, because this business negativity can creep into the mind, because, if you're going to have 39 rejections for every one phone call, so you're going to have you have to learn how to love rejection. And so, you got to start out, what are you grateful for? What are your goals for today? And start off that morning routine with something positive. Do maybe a 15-minute, watch maybe a little webinar do something positive to start your day off. And then you're going to be prospecting, whatever your time is going to be. It could be 8 to 10, 9 to 11, whatever time you're going to prospect for that day. And then you have your appointments. If you don't have any appointments for that day, then you're going to prospect later in the afternoon. And depending on your family situation, if you have kids that get home at 3:30, you might prospect between 1:30 and 3:30, depending on what your schedule is. But your goal really is to set appointments to help people with their real estate needs. And so if you really master your calendar, and we have a saying in our office, if it's not on your calendar, it does not exist. If you let people run your life, if you let people run your calendar, you are going to get ran around. And I remember when I started in real estate, I said, I'm going to out hustle everyone. I'm going to outwork, and I did. I worked literally all the time. Problem is I was running in circles. I had no direction, no plan, no business plan. I just worked. And so if you have a definitive goal for each day and a definitive plan, you're going in a direction instead of circles, and your life is going to be a little bit more manageable.
Awesome. How about you, Eric?
Well, I think some great advice has been shared. Certainly, I think it comes down to mindset, models, and mentorship. I think mentorship can be one-on-one. I also think that it can be accelerated just through something like Workplace. There's a lot of great advice and sharing around systems and strategies there. So I think that can be a terrific resource. We do use showing agents, and it's anywhere from $25 an hour to a percentage of the deal. I would do incremental leverage if it was somebody that's a newer agent or building their business, and maybe they don't have quite the momentum level that they want. I mean, a transaction manager is a few $100s, but frees up a ton. I also think setting expectations with our clients so that there's some clear boundaries. Maybe that's, hey, I'm available 8 to 8 on weekdays and this time on Saturdays, but I reserve Sundays for my family. And just setting that expectation up front can avoid a lot of the franticness. And I'm also a believer in a both and philosophy. We spent the last week in Cabo. Our business still ran. We still got some transactions done. We carved out a few hours to work here and there where we needed to, but we got to be where we wanted to be this week. And so I think just taking that approach and maybe having some shorter term goals. I like working in sprints. And so if there's like the next trip or the next event, or you're saving for something special, and you can work that in a 30, 60, 90-day increment, then there's some incentive. And for the sacrifice and the trade-off, I think it gives us a little bit more energy, and it makes our focus a little bit clearer in terms of living in priority.
Absolutely. Great ideas. I would also tell you guys, get a buddy. Get a buddy in the EXP that you guys can bounce off of. If I know my husband, I saw him just get onto the auditorium. We had a standing date night on Friday nights, and we were to take no business then. And so what we ended up doing, because we were missing clients, and of course that's stressful too, is we just found some good agents, not necessarily on our team, but good agents that we liked working with and liked what they were doing. And we would either refer them out or pay them a showing fee. And never take advantage of that, but also offer in return to do for them. It's hard sometimes when you're by yourself, and you may not have somebody else, but that you can share and help each other without having to form a massive team or anything like that. There are ways. Just ask and make friends with your people in your company. So we're coming up on the last 15 minutes. So what I'd like to do right now is open this up to you, the audience. One, I want to thank you for coming here and listening to all of us. Two, I want to thank our panelists for taking the time and doing this. And I'm sure if you have a referral for their areas, they would be love to help you. I know we would. But if you have, this is your opportunity. You have 10 to 15 minutes of digging into their brains or asking them. So do you have a question? I will look in the chat or open up your mic. If it's directed towards somebody, maybe state who it is, or if it's for all of them. So right now I have what strategies are you working to get inventory in this low inventory market? Ronnie from Hawaii is saying that. Ronnie, I will come see you and sit with you. How's that? But so what are your strategies right now, guys, for getting inventory in this low inventory market?
I think that's kind of what we were saying earlier, and it doesn't get old. You just have to get creative where tap into what you already have. I don't know how big your database is, Ronnie. Maybe put it in the chat back in here so I could give you a tactical piece of advice on how to, you got 5,000. Okay, perfect. So you really, what I would start doing is, do you have that database broken down? Do you have it broken down by your past clients? Start with people that have already loved you. If they've been giving you reviews, I would
that I don't even need to say anything. We are just giving. I'm a full believer in the go-giver as well. Once my husband gave me that book, my world changed because that's truly my heart. I'm not a salesperson. I don't call people. I don't do that. But what I do works for me. Do I sell 80 million? No. But I've created a life that's really good for what we want. Anyone else? Is there any other questions that we need or that the panel wants to answer on that?
I just think sourcing from everywhere, all of our partners, our focus has to be on providing solutions and staying in curiosity about where people are at, how we can add value to them, both inside and outside of real estate. I know personally, and I think it's probably true for a lot of the panelists, I'll probably receive way more business that's flowed my way over the years for things I've done for people outside of real estate, contributed to a charity, coached their kid, written a letter of recommendation, helped them find the right resource in other areas. And so that's, finding the value that we can add in the moment for them, and then just continuing the dialogue in the spirit of the solutions that we're trying to find for other clients and helping to connect the dots.
I would say one thing is perseverance, because when I look back and think of all the different ways I went after inventory, you're spending a lot of time and money. And so you got to persevere in one or two or three different ways. I think many people that are not top agents, when I listen to them talk, they gave up at some point.
Absolutely.
Also important, guys, one of the biggest things here that we're not talking about, you don't need to, there's a lot of shiny objects, and just do not get distracted. I don't care if it's your first day in the business or if you've been in the business for 40 years. There's not a magic pill. There's not a magic bullet. You're not going to go to this academy and spend $5,000 and just be an instant millionaire. You guys have got to put in the work, number one. Number two, I really think that tracking is a big deal. I am obsessed with metrics. I'm obsessed with how many phone calls. I can tell you how many phone calls it takes for me to get a talk to, how many talk tos it takes for me to get an appointment, how many appointments it takes to get a deal. You've got to become obsessed with your success that way. And I feel that, also track, like everyone here talked about it. They know the 5 and 5s. I mean, everyone has some sort of number that works for them. And you really, as you like fine tune your craft, the numbers will change, but you have no freaking idea how far you have come unless you look back. My team and I sat down yesterday and I was kind of feeling down in the dumps. We're not all perfect up here on this stage. There's many days that we have failed. And I can tell you, I was feeling frustrated. We sat down and we looked at our metrics and I was like, holy good God, what I have done in the last 5 months, I should be ashamed I'm even complaining. So I turned that frown upside down. I'm proud of my team. Love on your people. Love on yourself. Because without those metrics, you can feel like you've done nothing. Tony Robbins has an RPM plan. It's freaking brilliant. Start doing things where you're succeeding, guys. You got to celebrate more. Stop being so freaking serious. Have more fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Holly, you and I need to hang out.
Let's do it.
Anything else out there? You've got a few more minutes. Otherwise, we'll let out. But is there any other questions, or open up your mic? If you would, give a hand to our panelists here. They've been amazing.
If anybody needs anything in Colorado, give me a holler. I'd love to be your referral source here out in Colorado. Connect with me on Workplace.
And I can help you with anything in Oklahoma, so please reach out to me or my team. We're the Rose team in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Also, I have on Facebook, I've created a group for realtors to come in and ask questions all across the globe. It's called Realtor Success Club. It's a group where we can be a private locked group to share our pains, struggles, questions, how do you handle situations. So if anybody would like to join, go ahead and look at that group on Facebook.
Shannon Johnson asked, is there a good place to find scripts? Honestly, Shannon, I've just gathered them for years everywhere. So I wouldn't say, I don't know of any specific place. but I've been through tons of coaching. So each coach has brought different scripts, and then I write them to my speak on how I speak. What do you guys suggest? Anything?
If she has a specific type of script, I'm more than happy to share what I have. So if anybody needs to look at scripts, I'm the same as you, Heidi. I've collected them over the years, and as how the industry has changed, you got to change, and you have to make it about you. You can't like just read from a book. I hate when people call me and they're reading from a book. So yeah, just make it into you. But if anybody needs anything, I'm more than happy to share.
You know, I went through 6 weeks of intense script training when I worked for a builder for a short time. And basically, it's a sales class. Those are where I pulled all of my scripts from, and then I've just changed them for real estate. So I always try to remind every realtor, you guys, you're in sales. Yes, we have a fancy title, but we are salespeople. So learn how to do sales, features, benefits, where you can help them. You know, what is your value? What do you bring to the table? That's what they need to know.
I think the best script that you can have with clients is to become really good at asking questions and be really comfortable asking intentional questions so that you can really tune into what they're saying, the inflections, where you might sense pain point or hesitation or reluctance or excitement or those things. And if you just keep asking next level questions, then typically they're going to tell you everything that you need to do to serve them to the highest level.
Awesome. All right. Well, unless anybody has any other questions, I think we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone for your time and listening. I appreciate my panel. Thanks for making it my job easy as the moderator.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Heidi. Thanks, everybody. Don, Christian,
Thank
Eric.
you, everyone.
Have a
All right,
great,
take care.
Thanks,
phenomenal
everybody. Great to
day.
connect.
Keep smiling.
That's right, baby. Look up at the sunshine and say yes to the morning.
Yes. Everything is good.
I like it, Michael, out there dancing. I see you.
Have a great day, everyone.